Hi everybody, this is Crystal. Now today I'm going to show you how to make this toddler size poncho, and it's for sizes 2 to 4. Now that is the only size that I have figured up. I can tell you how to make it bigger. It's pretty easily adjustable. It just has to do with the chain count on the beginning. I can't tell you how much yarn it's going to take for like a full size poncho, or how many rows you're going to need for an adult poncho. But I can just tell you, the multiple for the stitch count. It's pretty easy to make it bigger, but this is for the one I'm making is for sizes 2 to 4. Okay, for this project I am using a Lion brand Scarfy yarn, which is a bulky number 5, and I recommend a bulky number 5. You do not have to use this brand, but the bulky 5 is what I recommend for this pattern, and it's an acrylic wool blend, and there's 312 yards in this skein. Now for my size 2 to 4T, I used one full skein. So if you don't use this brand, you're going to need like 310 yards of whatever bulky yarn that you use. The color that I use is called Cream Mustard. Now I'm not a yellow fan at all, not by all means, but this is the most beautiful scarfy yarn that I have ever seen. It is my favorite color of the scarfies. It is so pretty. The picture probably doesn't even do it justice. It is a very gorgeous color. The name, I guess, don't sound that great, Cream Mustard, but it is really pretty, and it's my favorite of all the scarfies. And then I'm using a size K, which is a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook. Okay, now for my size, you want to start with a chain of 60. This is for 2 to 4, and this is the pattern that I'm doing, and it's actually the only pattern that I have. Now I can tell you that this poncho is done in a multiple of 12. So 2 to 4, you start with a chain of 60. If you want, say, maybe size 6 to 12, you would add 12 more onto that, and you'd start with a chain of 72. And 13 to like an average size adult, small to average size adult, add another 12, and you start with a chain of 84. And if you want like a plus size poncho, add another 12 and start with a chain of 96. And I'll put that below in the description box too, just so you don't forget it. But follow me. I started with a chain of 60. Now you just follow the same pattern as me, no matter what size you use. It's just a different chain amount. Okay? So you just follow your chain down, and you want to slip stitch into the first stitch to form one large ring. Like that. Now what I'm going to do is chain 1, and I'm going to single crochet right back into that same stitch that I slip stitched into. And now I'm going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around my ring until I get back to the beginning. Just like that. And when I get back to the beginning, I should have 60 stitches. Okay, I've made it back around to the end of round 1, and I have my 60 stitches. Now if you made yours bigger, you should have whatever stitch count you started with. That's the number that you should have. Now we're going to end round 1 by slip stitching into the first single crochet, not the chain one we did, but the first single crochet. Just like that. Now this is a 2-point poncho. So we're going to start off by making our first point in this very same stitch that we slip stitched into. So I'm going to start off with a chain 3, which counts as a double crochet. Now I'm going to go back into that same stitch, and I'm going to work 2 more double crochets. So counting that chain 3, I will have 3 double crochets in that same stitch. And then I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, go back in the same stitch again and work 3 more double crochets. So all the points are made that way. 3 doubles, a chain 2, and 3 doubles, just like that. Now remember, whatever size you're doing, just follow along with me. It's still the same. Now what we're going to do is we're going to skip 2 stitches, and sometimes you got to pull this over because this guy hides sometimes, but we're going to skip 2, skip, skip, and we're going to single crochet into the next stitch. And then we're going to skip 2 again, skip, skip, and we're going to work 5 double crochets into the next, so a shell. So skip 2 and work 5 doubles into the next stitch. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now again, we're going to skip 2, skip, skip, and single crochet into the next. Skip 2 again, skip, skip, and work a shell into the next. So 5 doubles into the next. Like that. Skip 2 again, skip, skip, single into the next. And then we're going to skip 2 again and work a shell into the next. So skip, skip, and shell into the next. Skip 2 again, skip, skip, single into the next. Skip 2 again, skip, skip, shell into the next. Skip 2, skip, skip, and single into the next. Okay, now this is the part that's going to be different if you're making a larger size. As you can see, I have a point and 4 shells. Now I'm going to skip 2 and make my point in the next stitch for my size, 2 to 4. So I'm going to skip 2 and put another point. So I'm going to put 3 double crochets, a chain of 2, and then 3 more double crochets in that same spot. So now you look and you see that I have 4 shells between the points from my size 2 to 4. Now if you chained 72, you will have 5 shells between the points. So you will need to continue until you have 5 shells. If you chained the 84 for the next size, you will have 6 shells. So you will need to continue the repeat until you have 6 shells. And then the plus size, the chain of 96, you will need to continue the repeat until you have 7 shells between the points. And again, I will put that below in the description box. But now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to repeat what I did on this side over here on this side. So I'm going to skip 2, skip, skip, single crochet into the next, skip 2, and shell into the next. And I'm going to repeat this, the same thing I did on the other side, until I get back to my starting point. Skip 2, single crochet, and then skip 2 and shell. Okay, I've made it around to the end of row 2, and you should have the same number of shells between each point on each side. So I did a shell, my last shell, I skipped 2 and did a single crochet, and I have 2 stitches left, which I want to skip. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the top of my beginning chain 3, and that will end round 2. And remember, for my size, I'll have 4 shells on each side between the 2 points. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain or slip stitch 1 time until I get to the middle of these 3. And then I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to go back into that same stitch and single crochet. Now I'm going to skip this next stitch, and I'm going to jump in this chain 2 space, and I'm going to work my point. So I'm going to work 3 double crochets, a chain of 2, and then 3 more doubles into that same spot. Like that. Now I'm going to skip 1 stitch here. Got to move this over, make sure you're getting the right stitch, and single crochet into the middle of this group of 3. And that's kind of how you increase at the points. So there's the point made. Now I'm going to skip this 1 stitch, and in this single crochet right here, I'm going to do a shell. I'm going to do 5 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now I'm going to put I'm going to skip 2 stitches now. Skip, and put 1 single crochet into the next, which will be the middle of this group of 5. Single crochet. And again, I'm going to skip 2 stitches, skip, and that'll bring us to this single crochet, and we want to put our shell in this single crochet. So 5 double crochets. Okay, now I'm going to skip 2 stitches again, skip, and then I'll be in the middle of this group of 5, and I want to single crochet into that stitch. Skip 2 again, skip, and that'll bring us to the single crochet, and you want to put 5 double crochets or a shell into that single crochet. Now I'm going to repeat this pattern until I get to my next point. Okay, I've made it to my next point here. I did a shell here, and now I'm at where my point starts, where there's 3 double crochets. So every time we hit a point and there's only 3 double crochets here, we're just going to skip 1. So we skip this one, and we're going to single crochet into the next, which is the middle stitch of these 3. And this happens on all the points. And then we skip 1 again, and we'll be working in this chain 2 space, and that's where we'll put our 3 double crochets. A chain of 2, and then 3 more double crochets. Just like that. And I've added 1 more shell on this side between the points. So now I'm going to do the same thing again on this other side that I did. So we only have a group of 3 here because it's our point area. So we're just going to skip this one, skip 1, and single crochet into the next. Skip 1 again, and that'll bring us to this single crochet, and we're going to put a shell into that single crochet. So 5 double crochets. And then we're going to skip 2 now. Since we're out of the increase area, now we're going to start skip 2, 1, 2, and we'll be in the center of this group of 5 shells. This shell will be in the center of it. Single crochet. Skip 2, skip, skip. We'll be down here in this single crochet, and we want to put a shell down here. And then we're going to skip 2 again, skip, skip, and single crochet in the middle stitch of this shell. And we're just repeating what we did on the other side. Skip 2 again, skip, skip, and shell into the single crochet. And repeat that until we get over here to the end, or back to where we started. I'm coming to the end of this side, and I single crocheted in my last shell. Now I'm going to skip these 2, and I'll be down here at the single crochet, and I'm going to shell into that stitch. Now I'm going to end round 3 by slip stitching into this first single crochet right here. Every round is ended by slip stitching right here in the first single crochet, just like that. Now that ends round 3, and you can look and you can see that I have added, there's 5 shells on this side and 5 shells on this side in between the points. So every round you will add 1 more shell on each side. No matter what size you're doing, it will add 1 more shell every round. 2 total, I mean completely around, it's going to add 2 more, but 1 on this side and 1 on this side. So for round 4 is actually the repeat of the whole pattern. This is how we're going to start every round from now on. After we slip stitch into that single crochet, we're going to slip stitch 2 times to the middle stitch of this group of 3. So I'm going to slip stitch once and then twice. Now I'm in the middle stitch of this 3 on this point. So I'm going to chain 1 and single crochet back into that same stitch. And now I'm going to skip 1 stitch, and I'll be in my chain 2 space. So I'm going to do my point. I'm going to do 3 double crochets, a chain of 2, and 3 more doubles. Like that. Now I'm at my next group of 3 here. So I'm going to skip 1 and single crochet into the next. Skip 1 again, and it'll bring me to this single crochet, and I'm going to shell into that one. Now only at the points is where we skip 1. The rest of the patterns we skip 2. Okay, so now this is where we start skipping 2. So skip, skip, single crochet into the middle stitch of this shell. So if you skip 2, that'll bring you to the middle. Single crochet, skip 2 again, skip, skip, and that'll bring you to the single crochet, and that's where you want to put a shell. So 5 doubles. So we're just going to kind of repeat what we've been doing. Skip 2, skip, skip, and then you'll be in the middle stitch of the shell, single crochet, skip 2, skip, skip, you'll be down here in the single, and you want to shell into that. So I'm going to continue this pattern that we've been working on until I get to my next point, and I will meet you right there. Okay, I'm coming to my next point, and I single crocheted here in the middle of this shell. I'm going to skip 2, and I'll be at the single crochet, so I need to put a shell into that single crochet. And now I'm at the point. So there's 3 stitches here of the point. You skip one and single crochet into the next. Skip one and then you'll be in the chain 2 space, and that's where you put your 3 doubles. A chain of 2 and then 3 more doubles. Just like that. So now you got your second point made. So we're just going to kind of start again. Right here, this group of 3, skip one, single crochet into the next, skip one, and you'll bring it to the single crochet, and you need to put your shell into that single crochet. 5 doubles. Now we start skipping 2 again because we're out of the increase area. So we skip 2, skip, single crochet in the middle stitch of this shell. So if you skip 2, you'll be in the middle stitch. Skip 2 again, and then you'll be in the single crochet, and that's where you put your next shell. So now we're going to repeat what we've been doing again until we get to the end. Skip 2, skip, you'll be in the middle stitch, single crochet. Skip 2, you'll be in that single, and that's where you want to shell again. So repeat this pattern until you get to back around to your starting point. Skip 2, you'll be in the middle of the shell, single crochet. Skip 2, you'll be in the single crochet, and then you shell into that one. Okay, I'm coming to the end. I single crocheted into this shell here. Now this single crochet down here, we need to shell, and we need to skip these 2 stitches, skip, and shell down here in the single crochet. And it's actually the one that we slip stitched into the round before, so it's kind of hard to see it. But if you skip these 2 stitches, you'll see the slip stitch. Go ahead and go right into it, and then you need to shell 5 double crochets into that spot. Every round will be like that. It'll always be the last stitch will always be the one that you slip stitched into the round before. That'll be your last stitch here. And now we're going to end by slip stitching right here into our very first single crochet. And I will have 1 more shell on each side at the end of round 4. You will always have 1 more shell on each side. So now I have 6 on this side and 6 on this side in between the points. So now it's just a repeat of round 4. And you want to repeat that round for however long you want your poncho to be. If you're doing it for an adult, just keep repeating it. For, you know, some people like their ponchos shorter, some people like them longer. It's completely up to you. But remember, to start, we slip stitch 2 times to the middle of this group of 3. So there's 1, 2. So we start every round like this now. We chain 1 and go back into that same spot and single crochet. Just like that. And then we skip this one and we do our point here. So 3 doubles. Chain 2 and 3 more doubles. Skip 1, single crochet into the next, skip 1, and you'll be at this single crochet, put 5 doubles into that, And now since we're away from our point area, we start skipping 2 again. Just like that. So we skip 2 and single into the middle of this shell. And now we just repeat that row 4 all the way around. Do the same at the point until you get back to the beginning. And remember, you have to shell into this last single crochet. Once you get here and you single crochet here, you skip 2, you'll have to shell here, and it's the slip stitch from the previous round. So it's kind of hard to see, but you want to make sure you get that one. And then you always end right here in the very first single crochet that you made. And then you start again by slip stitching over. And that's it. Just repeat it for as long as you want your poncho. Okay, I've done a total of 15 rows of shells, starting from the very first row of shells all the way up to 15. Now, if you want to adjust the length for the size that you're making, you know, of course, if you're making an adult or teenager or whatever, you're going to need to make it a lot longer. But for the size that I'm making, I did the 15 rows. And mine's for the 2 to 4 size. And if you feel like that, you try this on your 4-year-old. If you have a bigger 4-year-old or you just don't think it's long enough, you can do more rows. That's fine. But what I'm going to do though on the last row is I'm going to do one more row. So I did my shell here in my single crochet, and I'm going to slip stitch here in my first stitch to end that round. So for the final round, I'm going to slip stitch over here to the middle stitch of these 3, just like we've been doing. Then I'm going to chain 1, go back into it and single crochet. Now for the chain 2 space, instead of doing what we've been doing, I'm going to work a 9 double crochets through that space. That'll be my finishing row. So however long you make your poncho, that you want to make this your finishing row, your last row. Just like that. 9 double crochets there, and that just makes 1 fan there at the end. And now I'm just going to continue my pattern for this last row the way that we've been doing it. So this group of 3, single crochet in the middle 1, 5 double crochets, I'm sorry, right here into the next single crochet. So I'm just going to do it the way we've been doing it until I get to my next chain 2 space. And when I get there, I'll put 9 double crochets there, just to make it look like it kind of ends there, so there's no chain space. So I'm going to do this all the way around. When I get over here to my other chain 2 space, 9 doubles in that, and then continue around until you get back over here to the beginning. Okay, whenever you make it back to the end after your finishing row here with all these 9 double crochets, you just want to end by slip stitching into that first single crochet. Like that. And then we can tie that off. And that part is done. Now I'm going to work around the neck. But what we're going to do is go around it with single crochet here at the top to clean up that top edge. So I'm starting in the back of my work. This is the back part where it just ended. That way the seam is in the back, not in the front. Okay. Now if you look right here, here is where we started doing our chain 2s. I'm going to start, there's 1, 2, 3 stitches. You can see them right here in the middle. I'm going to start in this one. See this center stitch here where we started putting our points? Go up. That's the center one. I'm going to start in the one right before it. And I'm going to start by chaining 1. Now what I'm going to do is single crochet back in the same stitch. And now I'm going to skip that stitch right there, the next stitch, the one that is lined up with the points, and I'm just going to go and single crochet into the next stitch. So I just skip that one completely, and now I'm going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch around until I get to my next point, and we'll do the same thing when we get over there. So I'm just going to continue around until I get to my next point. Okay, I made it to the other side, and here is the point, that first point that we made, and here is the stitch that's right above it. I'm going to skip that stitch, so I'm going to single crochet in every stitch up to that one, and then I will skip that one and single crochet. Just a minute here, let me look what I'm doing. Okay, single crochet in every one up to the point. So this one right here, you can see it's centered with that first point we made. Skip that one and single crochet into the next, just like that. And now I'm going to continue single crocheting, 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get back to where I started. Okay, I've made it back around to the beginning, and now I'm going to slip stitch into my first single crochet, not that chain one, but the first single crochet. And you should have now, making the size that I'm making, 58 stitches, and then we can tie this off. Remember, we started with a chain of 60, and we had 60 single crochets in the very first row. Well, on this round we would have had the same, except for we skipped 2, so now we have 58. So if you made a bigger poncho, you're going to have, on this round, you'll have 2 less stitches than whatever your round 1 had. Okay, once you get your tails hidden, you can go ahead and just kind of give it a stretch. That's what I do, so it don't kind of curl up on you. And that is it. That is all there is to it. I think it turned out really cute. I mean, you can always put a hood or something on it if you wanted to, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to check out all my other tutorials. I have hundreds of them. And if you make this or anything else, I'd really like to see a picture of it. You can post a picture on my Bagoday Crochet Facebook page. I'll put a link to that below in the description box. Also, I'll put a link to the written pattern for this size in the description box also. And until next time, have a good day.